There's a hum in your chest, a little resonance. Tiny tendrils of warmth tickle your spine. Spring is here, and it is finally melting away the winter blues. But just when you think everything's coming up daisies, terrestrial pulmonate gastropoda, otherwise known as snails. Those slimy little freeloaders show up to my garden like it's an all-you-can-eat buffet, and nothing gets my rage pumping harder than the leafy carnage they leave in their wake. Do I find them to be oddly cute? No comment. There are lots of different options that you have when dealing with snails and their shellless little counterparts, the slug. You can squish them.
Ew!
Feels a little savage. Not quite my style. Salt them.
Ew, what?
I don't really have the stomach for congealed slug guts. Huck 'em and chuck 'em. I have been known to chuck a slug a time or two.
Ew.
But most of the time I just strap on my headlamp and head for the garden in the middle of the night and pretend like I'm going on a fun little expedition. Slugs and snails aside, April is probably the hardest month for me in my garden. My to-do list is forever growing, and my spare time is forever shrinking. It's already mid-April, and as you can see,
Ew!
I have my work cut out for me. So I'm just gonna get busy checking things off my list. My peony beds are so gnarly this year. I've never had moss like this before. And this butterfly bush has gotten out of control. I didn't plant it here. I think that it was seeded or transplanted from a bird, but it is quite happy. And I honestly wouldn't mind it if it wasn't kind of crowding into my peony plants. It's turned into kind of a bully, so I think I'll probably just end up cutting it back and maybe relocating it later in the year around like fall time. But you can see it's just kind of taken over. So this is year 3 for my peonies. I bought them in like a bare root sale, and the last 2 years I've been snipping off their buds and not allowing them to bloom because I've been trying to let them establish and use all of their energy into really having nice strong roots. I'm hoping that's going to pay off. It feels like it's going to. I mean, look at how big and beautiful some of these buds are. My body might collapse under my excitement. Cleaning up my peony beds was such a quick and satisfying job that it really got me energized to start clearing out the rest of these beds. One of the first yearly tasks that I always have in my garden is cleaning up the leftover carnage from the previous year. I like to leave all of my leaf litter and stem piles over the winter to provide shelter and food for birds and insects, but it definitely creates more work and chaos for me in the spring. The trade-off being, I hope, that the little insect ecosystem I'm trying to support and create will be thriving and protective against annoying pests throughout the summer. I mean, we'll see, you know. And then of course, the biggest question of the year, did my dahlias survive the winter? This is always kind of a hold your breath moment for me. I'm nosy, so I like to feel around in the dirt to see if my tubers are still solid and not mushy or rotted away. And I'm pretty stoked because they all felt really good. I can already see some new growth popping up for some of them, but I'm feeling really good about my dahlias and all of them coming back. I'm also feeling a little bit panicked because I did buy new dahlias and if all of them come back from last year, I don't know that I'm gonna have spots for my new ones. So my next time sensitive project was to get some of my seeds directly sowed into the garden. Some of these I could have done a long time ago. Some of them I could have planted before my first frost. Some of them I could have planted, a few weeks before my last frost. I just don't always have the time to do that. Time is a precious commodity and I don't have a ton of it. So this is when I'm doing these direct sewings, but it's definitely not the only way or necessarily the best way. So, you know, do your research and see what's gonna work best for you. I did get the majority of all the things that I wanted to do in April completed, but there are still a few to-dos that I need to circle back to. But instead of focusing on that, let's take a look at the April to May transformation, because it's actually pretty wild how quickly the garden changes in such a short amount of time. The peonies are in full bloom, and my body did in fact collapse from my excitement. I think it's safe to say that the oregano is turning into a bona fide problem. My bee balm came back from last year along with some rogue pincushion flowers. I was meaning to thin out the bee balm in April, but I didn't. I was also really meaning to thin out some of these snapdragon babies that came back from last year. I don't know if it's just me, but do you have a hard time thinning out your plants? On the one hand, I do worry about my gardens getting too crowded, but I also just don't have the heart to pull perfectly healthy plants out of the ground. Speaking of heartache and lack of airflow, I planted these hollyhocks last year, and what the heckity heck. So in early April, when I was clearing out my beds, I did go in and cut all of the diseased and infected leaves off of my plants. And I was just kind of hoping that they were gonna pull through. I even had the sympathetic support of my little Winston. But surprise, surprise, we're going strong into May. They're big, they're bushy, and they're full of disease. I think I'm gonna let them bloom just because I've been waiting to see them since last year. But then, I don't know, I think I just have to pull them out. Let me know if you have any advice, okay? I'm a hollyhock newbie. I don't really know what I'm doing. I'm here, I'm listening. My Rudbeckia came back fiercer than ever. There's a whole bunch of little new babies popping up in all the gardens around where they were last year. So that's really fun. This waterfall of calendula might be my favorite thing out here right now. The color is just so vibrant and it just gets me so excited for summer. It honestly wouldn't be another year in my garden if I didn't miss the ideal window to stake up the majority of my dahlias. What else is new? Okay, these things grow so quickly. It blows my mind every year. And of course, the gastropods are still feasting. But I mean, can you blame them? With this cascading beauty buffet in front of their slimy little faces, it's only going to get more and more beautiful out here. And I can't wait to share it with all of your slimy little faces. So stay tuned for all of that. Thank you so much for being here, and I will see you guys in the next one.